Hey, pals. My name's Kyle. Welcome to WP Roundtable episode 164. Pretty excited for a lot of reasons today. One is that Michigan Wolverines are playing in the national championship today. How cool is that? Go blue. And number two, I've got a pretty amazing guest. Today, I'm joined by Emerson Jeffries of Emerson Design. How are you doing today, buddy?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Yeah, thanks so much, Emerson, for taking time out of your evening to join us on the show. We're going to learn a lot about you today, and I'm pretty excited about it personally. I've been looking forward to having you on the show. Emerson is a pretty cool cat from Detroit, Michigan, and runs his own design and consulting business there, and has been doing that for a little while, making some cool stuff. We're about to learn a lot about Emerson and his business. Before we do that, let's talk about our quick picks of the week. My quick pick this week is, let's see, WordCamps are coming up. That season is kicking off. We got WordCamp Detroit coming up this month, at the end of this month. Last I checked, tickets were sold out. Boo. There's a waiting list, and I know people on it. And Emerson and myself will both be speaking there. Is that right, buddy?
Yes.
I'm excited about that. We're going to talk about your talk that you have in the works in a few minutes. But there are other WordCamps on the horizon, and you can get tickets to WordCamp Dayton, which is approaching, and I'll be speaking there. That's next month. WordCamp Grand Rapids and WordCamp Jackson are in the planning stages right now. I think you can get tickets to Grand Rapids now, maybe already. But yeah, definitely check out the WordCamp calendar because things are starting to happen this season. Emerson, do you have anything cool to share with us today?
No, not really.
All right. Yeah, that's cool. No pressure. Let me know if you think of something. But for now, let's talk a little bit about you and your background. I know that most of the time when I ask this question, I'm talking to somebody else on this show who's, I don't know, far along in their career and able to reflect on what they were thinking when they were younger and how they came to the decision about what they wanted to do with their lives. And Emerson, you're in a little bit of a different position because you're still pretty young. You're still in this position where you're building a career for yourself, one that's very exciting. So let's talk a little bit about the early stages of that when you started to act on the impulse to spend some of your spare time working, earning a living, building a skill set, helping clients, instead of what a lot of other kids your age are doing. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so I started off playing school in my basement where I would have assignments and homework for my students to have access to online. And I actually started off building a website with a platform called Weebly. And it was very easy to use and very intuitive. And I liked it at the moment. Everything was going cool. But then I started to get in the habit of, well, not in the habit, but really I started getting used to building a lot of websites with the platform. And so I got to the point where I was building websites for little startups and businesses that my parents were founding, and for the nonprofit that I'm a co-founder of, J Cares as well. I started off using Weebly to build that website, but we kind of ventured off into WordPress now. And I used the platform to build a lot of other websites. However, I was introduced to WordPress not too long ago, and I use that to build all of my clients' websites. Now we've switched over to WordPress just because of the how extensive it is and all the things you can do with WordPress. And so I was using the platform I used the platform at first to build a website for one of my dad's closest friends. She's an attorney. And, I didn't really think anything of it because I just thought, I'm doing this as a service to this attorney. And so I was like, okay, cool. I didn't have a business for it or anything. I didn't have a name for it or anything. I was just building a website, because it was fun and because she wanted me to. And so the day that I showed her the website, she was so happy, so elated. She was, just so amazed by, the work that I had showed her. And so ever since then, ever since I saw the satisfaction, that look of satisfaction on her face, I just was like, this is something that I need to do and that I want to do for other people. And so that kind of inspired me to do more and to go further and to actually create a business for this. And then later on, that's when I got it registered with the state. That's when I felt like it was official. And so I got my website and everything, and it was really cool. It was a cool experience. And that's something I really enjoy doing. And so I'm very happy that I made the decision to do this. Although other people are not doing this, like other people my age aren't doing this, I don't feel like it's something that I get teased about, because I don't. I mean, it's not negatively affecting me at all. And I think a lot of my friends, a lot of people are encouraging it. I recently, right before spring break, because I'm on spring break right now, right before spring break, I spoke for career day at my school. And I got a lot of positive feedback from a lot of my peers, where before I was scared to speak in any of the other 8th grade classes. Now I was, it was after I did it and looking back at it, I wish that all of the classes I spoke to were 8th grade classes, because I felt like they understood what I was talking about more and they were more engaged than the younger audiences were. Because most of them I spoke to were like 2nd, 3rd, 4th grade, type of audiences. And so I felt like the older audiences kind of understood what I did more and they were more engaged. They asked me more questions. I had more fun speaking to them, simply because we kind of, we kind of see eye to eye on certain things. And so it was interesting to see the reactions and the different things that people had to say. And so, yeah, it was really cool.
How old were you when you started your business, and how old are you now?
Currently I'm 14. I'm in the 8th grade. And when I started, I was in 6th grade, and I want to say I was 12. So I've been in business a little bit over 2 years now. I actually just reached the 2-year mark last March, the beginning of March. And, it's been cool ever since. Everything's been going great.
Yeah. So the way you described when you got started, you didn't deliberately think that that this was like a career path for you or something that you would start doing to earn income. You didn't plan on building a business. You just had this experience that was a lot of fun. A lot of people that I talk to can relate to that. When I started building websites too, I had no intention of doing it professionally. It was kind of a hobby thing. Next thing you know, I find out, hey, there's cool opportunities here, and it's actually kind of fun. So here we are, and that's a story that resonates with a lot of people that I speak with. But when you got started, you had a lot to learn at that time. You had to not only figure out, how to really build great websites for people. And that's a learning process, but also how to create a business and charge people for your services, all of that fun stuff. I'm sure that's been an interesting process. Tell us a little bit about some of the lessons that you've learned and experiences you've had, just not relating to the service you've provided, but creating an actual business for yourself.
Oh, well, it was a lot of it was a really rocky road. There was a lot that happened, a lot of things that happened where I kind of fell off a little bit, and it kind of interfered with some of the things that I did at home. There are times I've gotten in trouble for doing business stuff related things and not, things that I was supposed to do at home. But it was more of a learning experience for me than a setback, because a lot of people learn from their mistakes, and that's something that I did as well. But as far as starting a business, a lot of the time I was, find myself underpricing where I was charging just for the expenses and I wasn't focused on making profit. And so there are a lot of times where I'd be making probably about 25 or 50 bucks for doing a 5, 6, 7 page website for somebody. And so, once my mom, she's really my main supporter in all this. And so once my mom, she figured out what I was doing, she was like, no, son, you really have to charge, not just for the expenses, but for yourself to make a profit as well. Because if you think about it, I mean, you have to make a profit so that you can account for the overhead expenses that you have for certain things. And so it's really important that you're charging so that you can make a profit. And so she was just explaining to me all of that and the importance of doing that. And so, as the years went by, I found that I was charging more, but then I saw that I was overpricing to the point where people weren't really interested in, my services or anything anymore. And so I had to just find that sweet spot in between where I could attract people, and at the same time, I wasn't, underpricing so that I wasn't making a profit. And so that road was hard. It took a lot of looking at different blog posts and different strategies of other people who were doing stuff like that. And I found myself, there was a period of time where I was just strictly calling different people who were web designers saying, what do you charge for different things? And, everybody did their thing. Everybody priced differently. And so I, got to the point where I just, took bits and pieces of everybody's and kind of put it together to make something of my own. But just took different experiences and different advice of other people so that I could kind of, get to a point where I could price, for something I could price on my own, and I could give people reasonable prices for reasonable website jobs and different things that I was doing.
Pricing is tough. It's tough, especially for the custom work that you're doing, where each job is a little bit different. This isn't like a really straightforward service where every time you deliver it, it's the same as the last customer. It's not, right?
Right.
So pricing these can be challenging. I did it. I was doing pricing for our agency for 5 years, and I still felt like I was just learning. I didn't figure it out at that time. Not at all. I did learn a ton. Are there any lessons that like really stand out that you learned about pricing? You talked a little bit about it, but like what was the best change that you made? Not just like raising your price, but like how you communicated to the customer, or what you use to calculate what your costs will be, or when you show it, or how you build it. Like, what was a change you made that really was helpful?
A lot of the time when I was doing things, I was accounting for my expenses and then how much it would cost to get everything done, like get the job done overall. And then I was kind of taking into account the annual salaries that other people made, and in that same market that I'm in. And so after taking that into consideration, using those annual salaries and then analyzing the prices that I was charging other people, that's when I realized that I had to charge people. Well, not really charge people differently, but charge people differently, but the way that I communicated to them and the way that I convinced them to come with me other than other people, that really, I had to change the way I was doing that, because before I was not very persuasive at all. I had to, convince people. I wasn't really into convincing people, which sounds crazy because like you can't have a business and expect people or try to get more customers if you're not convincing people to come with you. You have to be really persuasive in this market. And so I learned that after a while that was something that I had to do. And so I had to bite the bullet on it and just do it. And so it wasn't easy. But, again, getting more advice from the internet and taking in consideration previous experiences that I've had. and just using different tactics that usually get people to come with you and try to, work with you. And so that was something that I was doing for a while. And then I decided that, if people could learn from my experiences, I would like for other people to learn from those experiences. And so that's when I, started selling strategy to other people, so that I could, one, gain more of a steady income every month, because there's not really guaranteed how much I'm getting every month. And so there are times, and multiple times, where there'll be months go by and I have no profit, I get no income. And then there are other times where my sales are through the roof. So it was just, there were just certain times where I felt like I could do things to help other people do something similar to this, but I felt like I can't do that until I help myself. And so it took a lot of work, and a lot of research, and a lot of just experiences and different things that I've been through. But after a while, I kind of got the hang of it, and I stopped, trying to let people get over on me, because that's what I found myself doing a lot, is, negotiating with people and taking prices too low to the point where I wasn't making anything. And at sometimes where I wasn't, charging enough to cover for all the expenses, because I was trying to please the customer. But sometimes you just have to realize that sometimes that customer or that client is not for you. And there is a talk actually that I had saw from another freelance web designer, and she had a whole talk about firing your clients, because sometimes, sometimes you just have to do that sort of thing, because your client is asking for too much, but they're not willing to pay you more for the work that you're doing. And after looking at that session, it really opened up a lot of, it really brought a lot of light to my situation and what I was going through. And so that's really something that was a turning point for me, pricing wise, and just, being able to look at that and see, wow, this is some of the stuff that I should be doing, or just learning a lot from that. And so that was really, when I started to change my strategy in the way that I was doing things and the way that I was selling my services to other people.
Yeah. Have you ever had a bad experience with a client?
Actually, well, recently I had a really bad experience with a client where they weren't following up with me. And I found it really frustrating, because they were one of my best clients. I really enjoyed the work that I was doing for them, and it was my best work. But then it came time to renew their subscription, because there's costs that go along with that, such as hosting and the domain and stuff like that. And I have to receive, month-to-month income as well. And so I charge them according to that on an annual basis. But they didn't follow up. I kept saying, hey, your subscription is about to expire. I'm giving you time so that you could, just get your finances and everything together. I gave them like a month notice. And, when the time came and the subscription was expired, they didn't pay me. And to this day, I still haven't heard from them. And I kind of, I'm not sure if you're familiar with like add-on domains and hosting, but I kind of did that with some of the other sites that I was doing, including my own site. Because, I was like, oh, great. I can do add-on domains. I don't have to pay for my own hosting. And so, I did that for my site. And I did that for another person's site as well. And when they didn't pay and their hosting and my client's hosting expired, my hosting, as well as all of the other sites on that hosting account, also expired. And so that was something that, I was like, oh man, I shouldn't do this. And that was a big lesson that I learned, that, when I do stuff for people, that I should have them on individual hosting accounts, so that, stuff like this doesn't happen. So if one site crashes, all of the sites don't crash, and that I won't have to deal with, having to fix multiple sites when one site crashes. It's just a whole lot that went into that, a whole lot of effort of unnecessary effort that I didn't really have to go through. And so, you know, it was just a learning curve for me.
I'm sure. What's a good description of like your best client experience? One that just like you were happy, the client was happy, everybody won. How did that experience go, start to finish?
Well, the client that I did the website for, the attorney, she's still my she's still a client that I'm working with today. You know, she's paying me to continually update, maintain her website. And so that's pretty much you know, she's happy, I'm happy, you know, I'm getting she's paying me consistently, and she's getting a website in return, something that she can have people go to and interact with, and the user experience is just like, you know, awesome. And she you know, she sends me to people. She has brought me many clients that I you know, have worked with. A lot of the time they aren't really recurring clients. They're like one-time clients. Hey, can you fix this real quick on my website? Or, you know, I found a lot of people were actually coming to me for business cards because I did the design aspect of it. I want to say that the majority of my clients actually come to me for business cards and not websites, which is primarily what I sell is websites. And so that was kind of frustrating for me at the moment. But then I realized that, you know, I'd rather have, and you know, websites are that you higher pay for websites too. But then I, you know, realized that I'd rather have many, you know, people coming back to me for business cards, because at a certain point, business cards run out. And so people are going to come back to you to have them reprinted and to maybe come for a new design. And then you're sending other people to me, because as you're passing out business cards to people, they're like, oh, these are nice. How did you get these made? And then they're, you know, referring them to me.
Right,
and so,
right.
I found that it was better to have many business card clients than one website client, because, you know, that's income that's coming, that keeps coming with a website. Whereas a website, if you have income on an annual or monthly basis, then you're still, you know, not getting as much clients, and you don't have big a big as a client base as you do if you have one website client. And so I felt that, you know, that was kind of better for me. And
Sure.
but, you know, I really didn't want to do business cards. I really like designing websites for people. And so that's when I decided to switch over to selling strategy to people, or at least if I don't sell strategy to them, I'm starting off by selling strategy, and then we work our way up, or we go through a process that I call the brand development process, so that if you know, certain things aren't intact, like say, you know, you have a website that's working, but you don't have a logo, you don't have any sort of business structure, you have no business plan, not a financial plan, nothing that, you know, can really set you up for a successful future and generate sales in the future. Then I take them through that process, and we can work on the things that needs to be fixed, and then we can modify the other things that are already working but aren't working sufficiently or good enough to start and maintain and grow a successful business.
Sure. I'm curious where you said word of mouth in a couple cases, but where do the rest of your clients come from?
Funny thing, 100% of my clients have come from word of mouth. I mean, I
Wow.
have a website that I link people to, but most of the time people are coming to me and they say, hey, such and such referred me to you. And then I send them a link to my website to see my work. But I haven't spent any money on advertising or anything. 100% of my clients are from word of mouth.
That's impressive. Wow. Enough to keep you busy then, huh? That's great. That's great. Do you have any plans for like changes in the future? Anything like, oh, I'm kind of hoping that, you know, in the next couple of years, I change to do this or to do that, to grow in this way, to market myself in this other way, to offer this other service? I mean, what are you looking for the next evolution of your business?
I want to be able to, I know this sounds kind of this may sound kind of odd, but at some point I want to really have a business ran 100, not really 100%, because that can be kind of chaotic at times, but I want to bring in other youth and kind of mentor them and take them through the process of doing, what I do, so that if they decide they want to do something like that, they can go on and start their own business. And so I feel like taking them in as interns, paid interns, and teaching them to do the things that I want to do. If they want to do something similar in that area, then they can do that as well. So I want to be able to hire more people in the future, as well as successfully build mini brands, so that I'm not really so that I can show, hey, look, world, I built brands successfully with big clients and people that are huge now, but just so that I can have that satisfaction knowing that I'm helping people, because I love to help people, and especially doing things that I'm familiar with and doing things that I love. And so I feel like that, that can be something huge for me that I could do for people in the future. And that's really something that I want to do. Recently, I've been switching over from a more of a design-based business to a business and strategy-based business, so that I could market myself to more people, because there may not be a lot of people who need a website, but there could be people who are in need of other things. And so, well, with starting a business. And so I feel that if I market myself as a business consultant or a brand developer, somebody who develops brands and helps people in the brand development process, then I feel like I can market myself to more people, and that more people will be interested in my services that I offer to them. And so I feel that if I, do that and I'm helping people in that process, I can actually, upsell them on my design services like web design and business cards, logos, stuff like that, stuff that I was doing in the past. And but I feel like that there should be a foundation first that they should build up on as they go. And so that's why I wanted to start being a person who sold strategy first, or started off selling strategy to people, and then going through sort of like a brand development process, upselling them on different products. And I was actually reading a book about doing this sort of thing in the use of like a sales funnel. Mm-hmm. And I found that, because a sales funnel is when you like attract a lot of people at the top of your funnel, which is usually like really huge. So you attract a lot of people, you bring a lot of people in with the bait, but then those specific clients that keep going down the funnel and keep going through your steps, or in my case, brand development steps that keep going down. Those are the clients that you really want. And so that 100% at the top are just the people that are coming in, but then you get that 10% at the bottom that are getting to the point that you want them to get to. And that's actually what I'm speaking on at WordCamp Detroit. And I feel like that if I, could help other people use a sales funnel to help their business succeed, or help other people's businesses succeed, then, a lot of businesses will succeed.
That's pretty cool. You talk a lot about just helping people. That's awesome, and I'm really impressed by that and your passion for that. I wonder, like, have you been, I don't know, mentoring or talking with other people, your age group, or inspiring them to do things? Like, have you already seen the fruits of this inspiration a little bit? Any of your friends kind of said, well, if Emerson can do it, I can do it?
Actually, yes. There was this, there was a girl that went to my school who, she said that it was actually very inspiring. She said I was an inspiration to her. She said, I really like what you're doing with your business, and it inspired me to do something of my own. And she said that she was very into cosmetics and doing makeup for other people. And, she said that she wanted to venture into creating makeup for other people. And so she said that she actually needed my help, but she never followed up with me. But she said that she needed my help with helping her get to a place where she could mass produce makeup for different people and sell it in the stores. And I was like, wow, that's really inspiring. Like, you have big dreams, big goals and everything. But apparently they weren't that serious for her because I never heard anything back. So yeah, but that was really inspiring to me. And I really thought, like, wow, I'm an inspiration to other people. And I felt that I should, that's something I should keep doing, because if I inspire more people to do things like this, then there could be, like a mass impact on other people. And so that's really what I like to help people. And this is the next generation. And so I feel like that if we get them in early and we consult with them on how to successfully do things, then that they'll be able to use what they've learned and teach it to the next generation, and then go on and on and on. And then generations to come will keep learning these things that will help other people do their own thing. Because I know that's the thing now. Everybody's trying to do their own thing, trying to get out of their 9-to-5 job. They don't want to be sitting in a cubicle all day, looking at and working with spreadsheets. And so I feel like, if people are familiar with these skills and with these tactics that help people, well, that can attract people, and that people, if they can market themselves, then I feel like, that everybody can do their own little thing, and that everybody has something that they like to do. And I really want to help people in that area, because I feel like that's the future, and that's what people are doing now.
Yeah, I totally agree. You're spot on. That's amazing. I want to know a little bit more about your role models and mentors. I mean, you're becoming a role model to other people, but when you look at where do you get this inspiration? Does entrepreneurship run in your family at all?
No, not at all. Pretty much my mom, she's a real estate agent, but she's working in the office. My dad, he delivers pharmaceuticals to different I don't want to say psychiatric facilities, because it's really more than that, but he does that. And then my stepmom, she's a social worker. She works at the state of Michigan. So she's more of a supervisor. She oversees the other social workers. And so no, not really. I get really where I get this from, people who inspire me, the big people, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, a lot of those people, especially Mark Zuckerberg. I mean, I was really inspired by him. He started off in college with a group of his buddies who were in his dorm room, and it was like, hey, how do we create a social network that, people can interact with each other on? I mean, like, just the things and ideas that people come up with are really clever to me. And so those are some of the people that inspire me, are pretty much the big people. Steve Jobs, he had a revolutionary thought. Hey, why don't we make a phone that's touchscreen with one button at the bottom? Oh, wow, that's a really good idea. And people can browse the web on their phone, and they can, use maps and GPS and get directions. Like, there's nothing that can never do that. And so I feel like, those are the people who have inspired me, and who will continue to inspire me. And I really appreciate those people, and I want to inspire other people to do something similar to what I'm doing. And so what I'm doing now, a lot of people say, so do you want to go into business, or like, you're just going to be a web designer all your life? Probably not. I mean, I think this is just the beginning. And if I'm starting something off like this can spark other interests and other ideas that I may have and venture off into in the future. And so I feel like that I want to be someone who is actually impacting people to do something similar to what I was doing.
Wow. Yeah. Impressive, man. Cool. Super cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's remarkable. I want to learn a little bit more about the work that you do specifically, and some of the tools that you use and the skills you're trying to develop. You said you used to use Weebly, you moved to WordPress, you're designing business cards, you're building websites. Tell us a little bit about like what skills you're developing and what tools you're using to bring these, these products and websites to life.
Okay, so when you say tools that I'm using, you mean like different types of what do you mean by that?
Sure. Just, I mean, what plugins are you using? Are you writing custom code, and what software are you using to design, and
Okay.
that sort of thing?
So when I start off a web design project, when I used to start off with a web design project, because now I start off with strategy, but before, when I started off in the web design process, I would find myself, making a lot of sketches and doing things like wireframing. And I usually do that through pen and paper. And so I after the wireframe process, I usually go into I don't I've been wanting to be able to afford the Adobe Creative Suite for a really long time, like Photoshop and Illustrator and XD and all that. But I haven't really gotten around to receiving month-to-month income to be able to purchase, such software so expensive and so extensive that I can do a lot with. And so I use a software platform called Affinity Designer, and that's really what I use to, after the wireframe, I kind of put more design elements into it so that I could, just get the user experience first. And then I use a plugin called Elementor with WordPress. And I use I want to say that I use WordPress for people who don't really need to maintain their site a lot. Because I find that one of the things that WordPress lacks that I really like for them to, enhance upon is kind of a client space where clients can, edit their sites. Now I know there is, certain things where you can like set people as editors and, certain people as administrators for that site. However, there's a lot of steps that goes into that. And I feel like for clients, that's kind of, something that's going to be like, you know what? No, you just go ahead and you edit it every month and do what you want to do to it. And so that's the only thing that I don't like about WordPress and that I think it lacks in. But I use that for clients who don't really need to maintain their site a lot. If there are clients that I would, that need to update their site, or say have a blog, or maybe something that they, use to update their portfolio, then I would use a platform called Webflow, which is actually really, really, it's similar. No, it's actually not. It's similar to WordPress in certain ways, in certain areas, but it can also be really different. And so, there's a lot more you can do with it. And they have a CMS platform that I really enjoy using, and different client portals. So like you could just like a backslash on the regular URL, and then you could go in and edit things visually on their site. And so I feel like, that's something that I want to use more for clients who are updating their site consistently. And it's been going well. And so that's really what I use for my websites. For anything else, maybe like a logo or a business card or anything like that, design wise, I use Affinity Designer, the software that I mentioned before that I use to actually design the websites before I develop them. And then everything else, like in the brand development process, like, you know, helping other people and I can't really, reveal any of these skills or tactics right now because we're live, and I usually charge for those to consult people on those things. And so yeah, I wouldn't reveal any of that to you right now, but I've gotten a lot of what I have what I actually, teach other people about from different books that I've read, different articles, and I don't go forward with any project until I know that the steps and the tactics that I'm using have been successful in advertising and marketing in that market. So say, for example, you're a dentist, or what is it, cosmetologist? Is that what the proper term is for a dentist? The big word. I really don't know.
No, that's something else.
Okay, well,
no, I don't remember what it is.
I'm gonna say pediatrician. Okay, so say you're a pediatrician and you're trying to service to children or to parents who have young children. If the steps in the process that I go through, if it doesn't work in that market, then I'm not going to go ahead and use that same process to try and market or advertise for a client who has services in that particular market. And so I feel like that if I don't want to be the first one to do that sort of thing in that market, because if it doesn't work, then I'm losing money. Because when I first go to a client and try to sell them on it, I would most likely say, if you're not satisfied, then you don't have to pay me or something like that. And so I feel like that they'll be really disappointed if I try to market in a demographic that isn't where nobody has been proven to actually find success in that market. If I market in that area, then I feel like it'll be real difficult to try to persuade them to continue to work with me after I've already showed them that that's something that I'm not strong in. And so it's pretty tough. It's win or lose and that whole kind of thing, because you never know how successful you will actually, or your client will actually be, because everybody is different. Every business is different. And so, yeah, I mean, I really.
Yeah. Sure. So your parents aren't in this industry, your friends, relatives not in this industry, you're kind of like breaking into this on your own. Where do you learn this stuff? Do you have peers, mentors in this space that in real life, or just particular places where you research and read?
Entrepreneur.com has been really helpful because there are different things that, really on the back end of my business. I also actually have, there's a friend of my stepmom's who went to high school with her. She is living in Florida, living a life, has a beach house. She lives on the beach, and she works with WordPress. Well, she doesn't work with the company WordPress, but she works on the platform WordPress. She's a freelance web designer, and she helps people do different things with their websites. And so I reached out to her on Facebook Messenger, like probably sometime last year. And ever since, we've been talking back and forth, just trying to get what she had to say. She's really intelligent in this area. She helps me a lot with problems that I have. And, I revealed some things to her that she never knew before. So we kind of help each other out with certain things. She's been really helpful in this process, not just with helping me with different WordPress skills, but helping me maintaining and running my business and doing things smarter, not harder, so that I don't bite the bullet at the end of the day and have to tell my client bad news and different kind of things. So just preparing myself for the worst, just in case things like that happen. Well, just prepare myself so that the worst doesn't happen, I should say. So that I'm not, giving bad experiences to my clients. So she's been really helpful to me. My uncle, who's actually, I really don't know what his specific title is, what his formal title is, but I think he's like a business consultant as well. But he lives in Atlanta. So everybody's far like that does something like this that I actually do know. They don't live close, so I can't meet up with them a lot and show them things that I am doing. And so I feel like that because of that, it's kind of a hindrance for me to talk to them because they're so far away, and sometimes I can't really communicate with them directly as quickly as I may want them to. Because I may be working on something with somebody and they want to answer like that, but I mean, I can't go, okay, so should I do this? I'm working with a client. Should I do such and such and such, or should I do this? I mean, and I can't wait for their response, because if I'm on the phone with a client, I can't just put them on mute for 12 minutes waiting for the person to respond. And so I feel like that sometimes it's kind of difficult for me to actually talk to and have mentors. So I have to be prepared for certain conversations with people. And so that's why a lot of online articles I like to read up on. But the thing about online articles is that people have different ways of doing different things, and there are different tactics and skills that people use to persuade and do things with different clients. And everybody is different. So everybody's not going to believe one thing that you say. Everybody's not going to believe okay. There could be somebody that believes something that you say that another person may not believe, or a tactic that works with someone that may not work with this other person. And so, it's just like, there's a lot that I have learned with the time and experience that they have given, that they've given to me, and that, when they've talked to me, it's been really helpful. And so, even though they're not available at the times that I need them, sometimes I feel like that it's still, they're still my mentors. They're still people who are helpful for me in this process. And I really appreciate them for doing the things that I do. And so that's really cool for me.
You've been doing a little bit of speaking, and you're doing more speaking here in the future. Mm-hmm. That's super awesome. Mm-hmm. Super awesome. And I'm curious about that. I'm curious about what goes through your head when you're preparing to speak. I remember when I was doing some of my first presentations, or some years ago, I was teaching some college classes, and I had a number of instances where I was just struck by how much younger I am than my audience. And you're much more so. That was striking to me, feeling intimidated, like, everyone I'm talking to has been doing this longer than me, and I'm supposed to teach them a lesson. How do you feel when you're preparing for a presentation? You're about to start speaking, and you look at the audience and you see people who've been doing this longer, and you're going to teach them a lesson. Is that intimidating? How do you prepare for that?
It is very intimidating, especially because of the content that I'm delivering. However, I don't get because on my free time, I'm not sure if you heard of it, but I'm in Mosaic. It's a performing arts program for singers and actors. And so that has kind of helped me to have more of to communicate with people on stage at, Mosaic. But when I'm speaking and I'm teaching other people, if I'm getting in front of people, it kind of helped me to not sort of break down and, be like, oh my God, these people are so much older than me. What if I say something wrong? What if I mess up? Like, I'm just so scared. It's kind of helped me in that sort of process. But, I just have to make sure that I'm on my ones and twos and everything else, because if I'm telling people things that are terrible, I mean, they're not going to believe me, and they're not going to want to work with me, because potentially, that's networking opportunities that I get with other people. And so if I, present them with information that is incorrect, then they're not going to want to work with me. Like, if I went up to somebody and I said, everybody is going to want to buy your product, that's not true, because everybody is probably not going to want to buy your product. If you're selling cat food, anyone with a dog or who doesn't have a cat at all is not going to be interested in purchasing your product. So saying that to somebody, telling them everybody, 100% of the people that you market to, whether it be in any market that you want, are going to be interested in your product, because that's just wrong. It's not, going to work. And so, you have to present them with information that's going to help them at the end of the day. And so I feel like that when I'm doing something like that, when I'm teaching to other people, that I just have to make sure that my content is right and that I'm saying things to people that is going to, be a help to them, and not something that's going to hinder them from wanting to do anything in that particular area.
Sure. So what's your plan throughout high school and then post-graduation? You can still run the business on the side, more, less, the same, and then especially post-graduation, what's happening for you?
Well, through high school, I really don't know. That's why I wanted to be able to actually hire someone so that they could be doing some sort of work while I'm in school, because it's like a lot of the times when I'm in school, that's where most of the business is happening, because by the time I'm out of school, like the times that I'm 8 a.m. to 3 p.m., that's prime time for a lot of people, because that's when everybody's working. But I'm at school getting an education still. And so I feel like that's helping. No, it's not helping. I'm sorry, I'm using the wrong word. I feel like that's not really something that, that's really something that I want to do, is start hiring people. So that's what I want to do during high school, is probably try to see if I can hire someone, especially considering high school. I've never been in it. So, there are a lot of days in middle school now that I'm coming home having no homework, having nothing to do. And so I just have to do everything that I have to do at home. And then great, I can focus on my business. High school comes and then you get hit with things like, I don't know, maybe say calculus, or algebra 1, algebra 2, then chemistry, biology, physics, all that stuff that requires a lot of attention from a student and that requires a lot of study time. I'd say that'll eat up a lot of the time that I usually be working on client work and things for other people. And so I feel really like I don't really know what to do, or I don't really know where this is going to take me, if I'll just have to stop doing it altogether, or just lose out on a whole lot of clients and a whole lot of opportunity, which at the end of the day is not smart. So that's why if I can't find another way to do something like this, or to do what I'm trying to do in high school with the workload that I'm having, then I'm probably going to have to hire someone. And if I can't do that, then I'm just gonna have to get rid of the whole thing altogether, which I'd hate to do. But if it's for the best, then I guess it's for the best. And then I could just pick up or start something new after college, post-graduation, like you were saying. I'd probably, I don't want to be in the same spot 15 years from now, give or take. 15 or 20 years from now, I don't want to still be a web designer. I want to impact people on a greater level and help people on a greater level. And I feel like just being a web designer, although that is a help for a lot of people, that's not really going to impact people, especially in the new technology era that everybody is in right now. Everybody's trying to get other people to do things themselves without code and all of this. And I feel like that if I impact people creating, maybe like a software as a service or a business as a service, something like that, to other people, then I feel like that's something that can impact them more on a greater level than it would designing a website. And so, after graduation, I really don't know where this whole thing is going to take me, but I'm going to just have to, go with the flow, I guess.
Right. Yeah. That's all you can do, man. That's all you can do. Right. Okay. So you talked a little bit about your free time. You're doing the acting thing. Anything else that you and your family like to do?
I like spending time with my family, and my family, they're really funny people. So anytime I spend time with them, it's great. Usually, if I'm not in Mosaic, I'm on the computer. So I'm usually doing something for somebody else, or getting knowledge on more things that I can do to help people in particular areas in different markets and stuff like that. But I want to have more time to be able to spend with my family because, they're such great people, and they complain a lot that I'm on the computer too much, and that, I'm doing a lot of client work and everything, that I really don't spend time with them. And so I feel like that's something that I want to do more, and I want to spend time with my family more than I do now. And so, just trying to balance all of this and still be a kid, it's difficult. And so I feel like I have to find a perfect, I have to, be able to find the perfect thing to be able to, I don't want to say please everybody, because you can't really please everybody, but make everyone happy. And so, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty awesome. What's on your calendar, Emerson? Anything that people might see you in person? We got WordCamp Detroit April 28th this year. I look forward to seeing you there. Anything else that you're looking forward to?
I really want to go out of the state more. I want to get out more and network with people, not just in my local community, but regionally. Oh, is that a word? Region. We're in a regional area and on a national level as well. So that ultimately I can get to a point where I'm networking with people internationally. So I want to speak at more WordCamps in other states. I feel like that would be a good start for me. And then I could, there's a conference that I wanted to go to that's in like Seattle, I think. And see, I've heard Seattle is a great place. However, I'm still a child at the end of the day. And so a lot of things that I want to do, I can't, because there's this thing called school, which you spend a lot of your time at. You go there every day, except for on the weekends, which is pretty cool. But like, a lot of stuff that doesn't really happen during the weekends. And man, this school thing is really just killing me, and it's not really, it's hindering my everything that I want to do. Business experiences and everything. And so I feel like being a child and being a business owner at the same time, there are certain things that you just can't do, and I'm just gonna have to accept the fact that I just can't do it. So even though I have big aspirations and big dreams and things that I want to do, I just have to make sure that I'm still, a good student and a good son, a good brother. And so I have multiple roles that I have to fulfill. And so, some things I just can't do. But, as I get older and I, am allowed to do other things like this, and I'm not tied up and I'm more free, then I feel like that, the more opportunities will come. And even more opportunities are coming now, but they're just things that I can't do. Because what if I want to go out of town or network at a conference or something the same day that I have my SAT in high school? And I feel like that's the kind of stuff that's hindering me, school especially, from doing things that I want to do and networking with other people and other business opportunities that are becoming open to me that I will have to turn away because of, my situation. But
yeah,
it is what it is. So
it is what it is. Yeah, that's life as a 14-year-old entrepreneur.
Yeah.
What are the names of some people that you think I should have on the show in the future?
So this is just on this show, right? So I can name anybody. Like, cool. So my mentor, I didn't want to name her but now that you ask, I mean, you know, she's a pretty cool person. Her name is Christina Treadwell. She's spoken at WordCamp Miami a lot of times. I think she speaks every year. I've seen her on the schedule a lot, and I really want to go down there because I heard WordCamp Miami, they have like a little kids section, and you know, I heard that it was very, very I don't want impactful, I guess, and to other people, and that they have really, really good speakers and really good people that are there, including her. She's really awesome. I mean, and she has 3 kids and everything, and so I feel like, you know, 3 little kids, like they're all, I think, pretty under 5, and so, you know, juggling that, and you know, having that responsibility on her, and she's still successful and still able to get the job done. I really, you know, kudos to her, and so I think that's pretty much probably the only person that I can think of from the top of my head right now that you have on the show. I really want to say my parents, but you know, they don't really do anything in this particular area, so they really
okay.
be able to answer any questions that you may have pertaining to any of the things that we just talked about here. And so, but she's really cool. She's a really cool person.
Awesome. Well, thanks for the great recommendation, buddy. It's about time to wrap up. I'm gonna let you carry on with your day, and I'm gonna go have dinner and then watch Michigan hopefully win a championship.
Yes, go blue. I'm rooting for Michigan.
Yeah.
I want to go to Michigan really bad.
Oh, that would be so cool. Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's wrap this up. How can people follow up with you if they're so inclined, Emerson?
So remember that hosting thing that I was talking about when, you know, I had those add-on domains and the person didn't renew their hosting plan?
Yeah.
So my website hosting was hosted on that hosting account. And so currently I'm in the process of trying to get that back up. But I do have an active Facebook page and all the information on there is up to date. It's Emerson Design. If you search Emerson Design, it's design spelled DSign, just design with no E. Then you have access to my contact information, some of the things in my portfolio, some of the work that I've done in the past. And yeah, you can get in contact with me there if you would like to. And yeah.
That's perfect. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to join me on the show today, Emerson. I look forward to hanging out with you again soon.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
All right.